The silver scar across Gabe Vance's left palm didn't come from a moment of glory, it came from a slip of a chisel at 3 in the morning when his eyes were too heavy to see straight. In the quiet, drafty workshop of Vance Sons, a name that now felt like a mockery since he was the only one left, Gabe stared at the massive slab of black walnut before him. The table was supposed to be his masterpiece, the commission that would save the shop from the predatory developers circling his small Ohio town. But the wood was stubborn, the grain was erratic, and Gabe's body was failing him. At 34, he felt 60. His joints ached with the rhythmic dampness of the approaching winter, and his bank account was a graveyard of past due notices. The internal conflict wasn't just about the money, though. It was the crushing weight of the myth of talent. Gabe had grown up watching his father move through the shop like a magician, turning raw timber into heirlooms with what looked like effortless grace. Gabe, however, felt like a butcher. For every hour of progress, he seemed to endure 3 hours of correction. He wasn't a natural. He was a man who had to fight for every inch of beauty he pulled from the wood. By the second week of November, Gabe was unraveling. He had spent 48 hours straight attempting a complex butterfly joinery to stabilize a natural split in the wood. Twice he had measured incorrectly. Twice he had wasted expensive material. He stood in the center of the shop, surrounded by the scent of cedar shavings and failure, and threw his mallet against the wall. The hollow thud echoed his own emptiness. He sat on the concrete floor, his head in his blistered hands, and decided he was done. He would call the realtor in the morning. He would let the legacy die, because he simply wasn't gifted enough to keep it breathing. He stayed there for a long time, watching the dust motes dance in the sliver of moonlight piercing the high windows. His eyes fell on his father's old workbench. He crawled over and pulled open the bottom drawer, looking for a rag to wipe his face. Instead, he found a stack of old, tattered notebooks. They weren't journals of philosophy, they were logs. Gabe flipped through the pages and stopped breathing. Thousands of entries. June 12th, ruined the maple legs, started over. October 4th, hand cramped so bad I couldn't hold the saw. We'll try again at 4 a.m. March 19th, still can't get the dovetails right. Practice piece number 412. The epiphany hit him like a physical blow. His father hadn't been a magician. He had been a glutton for punishment. The grace Gabe had witnessed as a child wasn't a gift from the gods. It was the scar tissue of 10,000 failures. Mastery wasn't a destination Gabe was failing to reach. It was the willingness to stay in the burning room until you became fireproof. Gabe didn't go home. He stood up, his knees popping like dry twigs, and picked up the mallet. He didn't wait for a spark of inspiration or a surge of energy. He simply picked up the chisel and placed it against the walnut. The struggle didn't get easier. His hands still hurt, the shop was still cold, and the deadline was still terrifying. But the nature of the work changed. He stopped looking for the shortcut and started leaning into the friction. He sanded until his fingerprints blurred. He measured 4 times, then a 5th. He worked until the distinction between the man and the tool dissolved into a single grinding focus. When the client arrived 3 weeks later, the shop was silent. The table sat in the center of the room, finished in a hand-rubbed oil that made the black walnut look like liquid smoke. It was perfect, not because Gabe was a genius, but because he had refused to let it be anything else. As the client marveled at the joinery, Gabe looked down at his calloused, stained hands. They were trembling slightly from exhaustion, but they were steady enough to hold the weight of his father's name. Hard work hadn't just built a table, it had rebuilt a man. He realized then that talent is a lie we tell ourselves to excuse giving up. The truth was written in the sawdust on the floor. The only difference between a wreck and a masterpiece is the person who refuses to stop swinging the hammer.